Deputy Speaker, the Albanese government is going to continue working for the shared well-being of the Australian people, and we're going to continue to keep our commitments. That's what we've done so far. That's what we're going to continue to do. I'm sorry that Australia didn't vote yes, because that's the outcome I personally supported. I know how strongly it was supported by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Australians, and we put the referendum in the terms that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people asked for through the most comprehensive referendum constitutional process that's ever occurred. That's what we said we'd do. That's what we did. I accept the outcome with good grace. In my electorate, people turned out and voted in good spirit, with respect for one another and with respect for our democratic process. That's not what we're seeing with the motion that's been brought today, and it's not what we're seeing with some of the ridiculous questions that have been put on the first 2 days of this parliamentary week. The opposition has settled upon a method that it intends to prosecute, not that different from what we saw the last time we were in government. Basically negativity at every turn, chaos at every turn and division at every turn. Create division and then blame division, practice negativity and then seek to profit from negativity. That's not what Australians want to see from this parliament. That's not what they should expect from their government. If you want a judgment on competence just when it comes to the referendum that we held, you could look at Ken Wyatt, the Cabinet Minister responsible for advancing constitutional recognition under the previous government. He utterly rejected and repudiated the approach that those opposite have taken to this process. You could look to the member for Barara, the Shadow Attorney-General and the Shadow Minister for Indigenous Australians. He resigned his position in disgust at the approach taken by those opposite. Deputy Speaker, irrespective of whether Australia chose yes or no, the work of reconciliation and the work of the closing the gap had to continue. If Australia had voted yes on Saturday, that work had to continue. And the fact that Australia voted no on Saturday means that that work has to continue. It wasn't going to be done with a yes vote, and it's not finished with a no vote. That's something we should apply ourselves to here. We should stop having these kinds of finger-pointing exercises. We should stop confecting division and then blaming division. We should apply ourselves to the task that I think all Australians want to see their government apply themselves to, which is closing the gap and ending disadvantage that afflicts too many Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Fremantle voted no relatively narrowly. We ran a big campaign, a big positive campaign, and the way that the 500 volunteers were received in the community was always respectful, even though in many occasions they were having conversations with people who had decided to vote no. That's the nature of our democracy. People coming along and trying to suggest that the process that we just had, which is a legitimate and necessary part of our democratic process, is somehow a bad thing or somehow inherently a divisive thing, are just bananas. They are bananas. At the last election, this government was elected pretty clearly on a two-party preferred outcome of 52-48. 52-48. Is that divisive? That's democracy. And people who come along and claim that those processes are inherently divisive and bad are doing harm to our democracy, the kind of harm that we've seen in other places like the United States, which we should utterly reject here and which we should repudiate at every turn. Deputy Speaker, last Thursday the Prime Minister came to Fremantle, and the Prime Minister came with me to the site of what will be a new urgent care clinic in Beeliar, in the southeast of my electorate, the fourth in metropolitan Perth. I think we're going to go on to deliver 58 after we promised 50 urgent care clinics where people can go and get health care for those things that can't wait but that don't need the resources of an emergency department. 40% of presentations at Fiona Stanley Emergency Department are exactly those kinds of issues. Because of these urgent care clinics, people will go there with their Medicare card, get fully bulk billed health care. Immediately after that, we went to a rally and we spoke to some Yes campaigners. That's what this government is about, advancing the shared well-being of this nation in critical areas like our public health system and keeping our promise to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people to hold a referendum that they asked for. That's what the Prime Minister did with me last Thursday. That is Anthony Albanese in a nutshell, a leader who keeps his promises.
Time.